everybody. Welcome to another episode of Two Strike Noise, everybody's favorite, second favorite. It's in the top 10. You've listened to us once before or right now for the first time, favorite baseball history podcast. My name is Jeff. Joining me, as always, from the Darnell Coles studio in the Pacific Northwest, it's Mark A. Johnston. Mark, how you doing?
Wonderful, man. It's getting expensive changing the name of the studio every week or every other week, but it's a necessity.
We probably shouldn't have decided to do it in neon every time. That's probably where we're adding expense as opposed to cutting it out.
Yeah. And they're in my closet in case we don't ever want to use the same player. They're stacking up.
Yeah, and they're broken too, so you've got a lot of neon gas hanging around. Probably not safe. We probably need to get you out of the closet. That didn't really come out right.
The thing is, I can't. I mean, I got no other room.
Okay, you stay in the closet then, Mark.
I will.
All right. Yeah, we haven't been. This is our first show in, I think, 2 weeks. Stuff coming up. Real life. Sorry. But we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. First of all, Mark, I saw this. I did not know this. I texted you about it and we were talking about it. Are you a fan of Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
I've never watched it.
Oh, that's a shame. So if I go 9-9, it's not going to mean anything to you. But you do know who Chelsea Peretti is, though.
Yes.
Yeah, I did not know she was from Oakland. She is
nice.
Apparently a proud Oaklandite. She's also friends with Paul Friedman, who is one half of the group that started the Oakland Ballers, or the Bees, as my hats all say. They're an independent, unaffiliated team, but they're playing here in Oakland. They've fixed up a stadium in downtown Oakland, and city has kind of really adopted them. It's nice. They're drawing about as much as the A's did last year in the Coliseum. But yeah, they're friends apparently. And so she is a supporter. I don't think she's an owner. There's a lot of owners that are celebrities from Oakland, but I don't think she's one of them. But I just wanted to mention that because I like the Bees. And I like 9-9, but doesn't mean anything to you.
Gotcha. So. Maybe she's a fan of Two Strike Noise.
Probably less of a chance of that.
Yeah. I mean, so you're saying there's a chance.
I am saying there's a chance. Mary Samsonite might also she might be on the show as well. But Chelsea, or if you, let's do this. If you know Chelsea Peretti, tell her to say, hey, I forget who she's married to, another celebrity. I don't remember who that is, but
we'd love to talk to her.
Yeah. And apparently, I don't know if she knows anything about baseball, but she knows people that know about baseball. So good enough. And now I have to look up who she's married to because I know she's married to another celebrity. Oh, is it Dave Kroll? Oh, no, Jordan Peele.
Oh, nice.
How cool is that? Jordan Peele. Oh, Jordan Peele wears he's a Dodgers fan, isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is. Although he's born in New York. I swear I see him with a Dodgers hat on, but that's cool. Good for them. Well, then let's get them both on. It's booked.
Absolutely.
All right, next week. Speaking of the Bay Area, I do that a lot because I am from the Bay Area. I currently live again in the Bay Area, and I hate John Fisher. Let's talk about a music video. First of all, are there music videos in the whole history of music videos? So think back growing up MTV, and now you just got to go on YouTube to watch music videos. Is any other sport represented as much as baseball in music videos?
Good question.
I think the answer is 100% no. First of all, there's more songs about baseball than there are about hockey or football or basketball. But also, I mean, especially in the 80s and 90s, there were a lot of baseball related Richard Marx videos and Kenny Rogers and center field. I mean, just all that stuff. But we cannot forget about Too Legit to Quit. First of all, because of the tie-in with baseball, especially the A's of Stanley Burrell, who then went on to become MC Hammer, that went on to become Hammer. And I don't know what he's referred to these days. But, of course, he started out his record company with a loan from several A's players, including Dwayne Murphy and Mike Davis, who signed contracts to always get a piece of his whatever he earned in his career, which they were then taken to court to get out of that by MC Hammer, as I would think he would do after he became a big hit. But I do not want to talk about the entire 14 minutes and 38 seconds of the Too Legit to Quit video, because
good thing.
The actual song is only like 4 minutes, but there is 10 minutes of filler, padding, storytelling before and after the actual song. I will give you some highlights though. James Brown puts out a hit on Michael Jackson. That's probably the biggest part of the whole thing. The words "Too Legit to Quit" are said 55 times during the rap. What always stood out to me was all of the athletes that are spliced into this video and doing do you remember the "Too Legit to Quit" hand signs?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I still do them. I try to do them and see how fast I can do them because he says it really fast. But there were 24 pro athletes in this video. And some of them I understand, some of them I don't. But of course, the highlight for me is Ricky Henderson is in this video. Not in uniform. He's in a sweater. He's like in a Bill Cosby sweater in the Coliseum, just in the stands. It's empty and he does it. He's holding a baseball, though, in case you don't know who he is, so that you can tell he's a baseball player. Also, Jose Canseco's in it. Okay, Oakland, I get it. Kirby Puckett is in it, which I think probably just MVP, Kirby Puckett. Cool, everyone likes Kirby Puckett. Roger Craig and Ronnie Lott are in it. This is Roger Craig, the football player, not the baseball player / Giants manager, hum baby guy.
Right.
49ers, Super Bowl champs with the 49ers. And Ronnie Lott, my actual favorite football player of all time. Let's see, other people involved with this, which I guess Deion Sanders, I understand that. Jerry Rice, I forgot Jerry Rice, dude, another 49er. You've got Isaiah Thomas, which is, I don't know. I mean, I know who he is. He was one of the bad boys of the Pistons. I guess just because the Pistons were popular at this point. Maybe.
Must be.
Andre Rison, football player.
That's Andre Bad Moon Rison.
Yeah. And he was married, or at least was going out with Left Eye Lopez. Lisa
That's right.
Left Eye from TLC. And she burnt one of his houses down, I believe.
Yes. I don't know if I should be laughing at that, but no, that's true.
Yeah. And one of them has passed away. I don't remember which one. R.I.P. But he's in it. Wayne Gretzky is really, I mean, beyond, and I still think he's a lot better than Alexander Ovechkin, but I don't think I'm a Mario Lemieux guy, but I understand Wayne Gretzky. You get who the 99% of the population, whether they watch hockey or not, know who Wayne Gretzky is. So He's in there. Chris Mullin is in there, who is the whitest white guy you'll ever see in your life, but he's a basketball player for Golden State, so it makes sense. Roger Clemens in this as well. Okay. And then Lynette Woodard, who I didn't remember who that was, but then I looked it up and she was a basketball player and she was she was one of the best at the time that had ever played. So that made sense and a good shout out. But I watched this whole thing and I wouldn't recommend you do it, but there are a bunch of dancers in A's jackets throughout the thing though. And the A's jacket that I would 100% wear.
So we did get an email pointing out that Kirby Puckett deserves pop culture points when we pull his card.
Oh, yes, because he's in this.
Yes.
I mean, do we not give him pop culture points?
We haven't been. The gentleman that set us straight, he's been following. And we haven't been giving him pop culture points, which he deserves.
Let's do a quick search here like we normally do, as if we had just pulled him. Let's see. Normally we go, the first thing we say is, oh, he was accused of all these things, but then found not guilty. That's our first thing. Right. Yeah, I don't see anything here that would give him pop culture points just on his Wikipedia page, which is how we do it usually. I'll look at IMDb sometimes, but no. All right. We got to make a note of that because, yeah, definitely pop culture points for Puck there. But Mark, that's a good segue to something I wanted to bring up. You mentioned a listener sent that in, set us straight. We get emails from listeners pretty often. They're usually quite complimentary.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes they're just wrong. So we got an email. I don't know what this person's name is. They didn't sign it. And their email address is, frankly, I'm sure most of these letters mean something. I don't know what it is. And I wouldn't call them out by name anywhere. But they commented on our Gaylord Perry episode from a couple of weeks ago. And let me in particular have it here. He says he was at this game when Gaylord Perry hit his first career home run. But he claims we've got the year and the date wrong, which would mean that everybody that thinks they know when the land mooning occurred would have the day and the year wrong. So he says,
I'm pretty sure I'm aware of when that was.
Yeah, I did look at it. Now, I admit I'm not a genius, first of all, but we clearly we make mistakes. We don't have fact checkers. We are just two guys that do this for fun. We're going to make mistakes. We get it. But this listener was very sure of themselves. He says, I had to check the box score as I doubted my memory, as you guys said it was July 20th. And it turns out my memory was correct. Geez, not that hard to look up a box score, is it? He's asking me. I mean, he goes on to say some other things about Gaylord Perry, just fun stuff. But he's calling us out. Again, I'm going to say me, because you didn't do this. This was me. So, I'm like, okay, I got to check this. I mean, there's no way I could have gotten that wrong. So I looked it up, and he said that this took place on July 18th, 1969. July 18th, 1969. That's his memory and what he's saying when Gaylord hit his first home run. That day, the Giants played the Dodgers, and Jim McCormick was on the mound for the Giants. Gaylord did not appear in the game. Both the Apollo landing and Gaylord Perry's starting for and homering for the Giants took place on July 20th of 1969. He's just got the date wrong. He's not saying 1970. He's saying 1969, but he's got the date wrong. So he says, I clearly remember it. He hit his home run. You guys suck. July 20th. So I looked up, again, he said, I suck. Mark, you're clear of this. So I looked up Gaylord Perry's home run log. And sure enough, July 20th, 1969, he hit his first home run against the Dodgers. The next year, on July 18th, he hit his second career home run, which is the game that this guy was clearly at. So he saw Gaylord Perry's second career home run, which is something because he only hit.
It's one of the more rare feats in baseball.
Yeah, he only hit 6, and that was only his second. But, sir, if you're going to come at me, I need you to double check and make sure that if you're going to call me out, you're calling me out for something that I did that is actually stupid. Because if you come at me, I will come at you hard. That's an Office reference. So
I can vouch for you making stupid mistakes. I'm not going to bring anything up, but
well, and then I can blame you for not catching them when we're recording. But
that's right. That's usually what happens.
That's the way that goes. Let's see a couple of other quick things here before we trade a couple of quick ones back and forth. Mark, the Rockies at the time of this recording, they're 8-39 after 47 games. That's not good. I looked it up. The 1899 Cleveland Spiders were 9-38 after 47 games. So the Rockies are one game below the Cleveland Spiders win pace of 1899.
That's frightening.
That's scary. I mean, the A's have looked like a dumpster fire the last week. So fortunately, they got off to a quick start, so they're not going to be this bad. But the Rockies, man, that just is not even a fun team to watch.
No, it's rough. I tried to watch a couple games, and it was like, ooh.
They're heading to Citi Field this weekend, so I'm sure they'll come away with a sweep against the Mets. That's my prediction.
Yeah, we'll see. I wonder if they're going to have a giveaway night after they win their 10th game and go double digits.
No, when I wrote that was for last week. So entering today, they're 9-47. So that week between that, they won one game. It was against the Yankees even, but they won one game. The A's, as I said, they lost 10 or 11 in a row, but still, They're going to not even be close. The Spiders were 10-46 at this point. So they're still one game ahead of the Rockies pace right now. So go Cleveland. Go Spides. That's what I'm calling them now, the Spides. I made a boo-boo on the grid this week. One on the Immaculate grid is what I'm talking about. One of the squares was a Hall of Famer, and they had to have played for the Expos or the Nationals. Without thinking, I typed in Pete Rose. I've only got 8 of 9 that day. I was not happy with myself. That was subconsciously, what does that say about me?
Right? Good point.
In a couple of years, it'll probably work. Mark, we should mention, though, speaking of the Immaculate Grid, that if you were listening to this, I don't know when you're going to listen to this, but on Saturday, June 1st, we are doing something that is really cool. Our friends from The Ordinary Effort, I don't think it's a podcast. It's more of a video. We've been on it. We've been on one of their shows. It's a video podcast on YouTube. They are doing a live 12-hour stream called Grid for a Cure, in which they are going to be having guests on, and they are going to be doing Immaculate Grids. And we are going to be on that. Thrilled that they thought enough. I guess it's not June 1st. It's May 31st. I forgot
May 31st,
yeah, I forgot how many days, half September. So I'm going to put in the show notes. Just look at our social medias, though. You can also go back and obviously rewatch the broadcast. If you can donate any money, that would be great. Make a donation. But I hope everybody else can as well. It is on their YouTube channel. And again, just look at our show notes or our Blue Sky account. I have been updating it with that, and that's really cool. I'm excited to do that. Sure.
Yeah, and you know what's next has got to be either Hollywood Squares or Match Game.
Match Game, would we be the 2 contestants, or would we be like sharing a desk?
Yeah, we'd be like Charles Nelson Riley.
Ooh. Okay. I mean, I'm all for it. They usually don't have, Hollywood Squares can have 2 people in one square. I haven't seen it on Match Game, but you know, we're trailblazers.
It'd be like Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy, so one of us has to be a dummy.
Well, that's going to be a tough choice. I think we both qualify.
How are we going to do this?
Yeah, 2 dummies. All right, so check that out. A couple of other quick things. One other quick thing here. Reese McGuire, infamous Reese McGuire, signed by the Cubs last week, is going to wear number 20, which was last worn by the Cubs for Miles Mastrobuoni last year. I think he's a Mariner this year, but the name Mastrobuoni makes me laugh, of course. And if you don't understand why that would make me laugh when it is in association with Reese McGuire, I'm going to need you to Google it because I'm not going to talk about it here. But it's apropos. Let's just put it that way. All right. That's going to do it for the BP segment. Mark, we've got some quick things here. You want to start off? You've got a follow-up first on one of our turkeys.
Yes, Turkey Mike Donlin. We talked about him a couple of weeks ago, and he's such an interesting figure. I started doing a little more research about him, and I found just some short little notes that I wanted to mention that to give you an even better idea of this guy's personality. We all know he was flamboyant, and he dressed like it, and he ran his mouth, and he had his run-ins with umpires and so on, that, which is what I'm going to talk about here. He once in 2001, he was playing for Baltimore, and he threw a bat at an umpire's back after Harry Howell, his teammate, was ejected. And so the game, they didn't just toss him. They called it a forfeit. You throw your bat at the umpire's back, you get the forfeit.
I wonder if they do that today.
Yeah, I think you'd probably sit down for at least 60 days.
Yeah,
permanently.
I don't think the game would be forfeited, but yeah, you would not be playing for a while, would you? But how much when Roberto Alomar spit? What was his punishment? I forget.
That's a good question.
Go ahead with your story while I look that up, and I'll tell you here in a minute.
Okay, August 21st, 1901, a game between Baltimore and the Detroit Tigers. There was a brawl after Joe McGinnity was ejected for spitting in the face of umpire Tom Connolly.
See, I knew that was coming. That's why I mentioned Roberto Alomar.
There you go. Kid Eberfield intervened and was punched by Mike Donlin, escalating the altercation, and the incident led to multiple arrests, including Turkey Mike.
That is very funny because you mentioned Kid Elberfeld, who I had told you made his debut today before we started recording, and he was a fighter. He and Ty Cobb did not get along, but Ty Cobb always kicked his butt. But they called him the Tabasco Kid because he was saucy.
Okay, don't get saucy with me, Bernays.
That one went over my head.
It's a movie.
Oh, Bernays sauce, though. Okay, now I'm getting it, though. I put two and two together. All right.
Okay, so then another story is he was in between baseball jobs, and when he decided he wanted to be an umpire, no joke, this guy who had thrown bats at umpires, got in their faces, all kinds of stuff. I'm going to be an umpire. So he goes to the National League, and what can only be described as making a very bad decision. They said yes. And Mike, a bit of a volatile guy, he went out and to umpire a game, and people were surprised to see him. What are you doing here? Oh, I'm the umpire. Okay. They just absolutely, both teams just rode him the entire time he was umpiring and just giving him so much grief. And any call, they were all over him. Both teams, both sides, got to the point where he stood up, took off his mask, threw it in the air and said, "I'm done," and stormed off the field, and there was no more umpire.
Well, they have to forfeit that game.
I couldn't find what happened. Usually back then, though, as they would find someone in the crowd to umpire or get get one of the other players who's not playing. So I'm sure that's something that they did, but I found it amusing that Turkey Mike didn't find umpiring to the liking of his persona. He's a bit flamboyant for umpiring.
I found it here. What is your guess of 1997? Roberto Alomar spits in John Hirschbeck's face during an argument. What do you think his suspension was?
I'm going to guess 15 days.
Oh, and I'm sorry, it was in 96, not 97. No, he had to sit the first 5 games of the season. A 5-game suspension for spitting in the face of an umpire on the diamond.
Wow.
And that was frankly, that was not, I mean, that's obviously not the worst thing that Roberto Alomar has done in his career or life. Let's just say life.
Yeah, life.
Yeah. Good guy. Anything else about Turkey?
No, that was my Turkey Mike follow-up. I may run across more as I read more about him.
All right. I want to talk about, I always want to talk about this. So it's no surprise that I want to talk about John Rocker. Constantly.
Your favorite.
Constantly. You can also find us on our John Rocker podcast, We Want to Rock. But we've talked about John Rocker being on Survivor. Also, Jeff Kent was on Survivor. The president of the Marlins at one point was on Survivor. I don't know what the pipeline is for MLB and Survivor. Have they had athletes from other sports on?
Jimmy Johnson was on. I know that.
Have they had athletes from other sports? Did Jimmy Johnson play before he coached?
I have no idea.
I don't know either. I mean, it's football. So I already blew all of my football knowledge in the Too Legit to Quit section here. But so John Rocker is on this, and spoiler alert, I am going to tell you what happened in a decade-old episode of Survivor. So if you don't want to know, cover your ears, and you can listen to another one of our podcasts, our Survivor rewatch podcast called Jeff Probst Threw At My Head. That one I wrote down when I came up with it.
That's a fun one, too.
Yeah. So I don't know about you, Mark, but when I think strategic social game, John Rocker is the first guy I'm putting on that island.
Oh, absolutely. Draft picks, number one.
Yeah. My wife and I have been not rewatching because we haven't seen them, but we've been watching old Survivors. And this season came up and I was like getting angry at the TV when I saw him. But I have watched his entire arc. Again, spoiler alert, it's not long. And if I had gone into this without knowing who John Rocker was, I would still have hated him. Just from the 2 episodes he's on. He's not that fun villain. I don't know fun villains.
Not the guy you love to hate. He's just the guy you hate.
Yeah, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but yet you nailed it on the head. One of those people that you want to be voted out every week because you hate them and they're irredeemable. Within 2 episodes, he managed to prove that everything he said on the very first episode, where here's our introduction to our players, and he's, oh, I've changed. People might know me from my baseball career, but I've changed. And if you believed him at that point, you were a sucker. But in the final part of his show, so he's got an immunity idol that he can save himself with, but he doesn't use it, and they vote him out because he thinks he's untouchable. So to put the cherry on this just awful Sunday, he gets in a shouting match with a female contestant and says to her, quote, if you were a man, I would knock your teeth out. And the whole spiel with this episode is that you come in pairs. It's you and a significant other. He's there with his girlfriend of the time. So she's got to be really proud, and I'm hoping really scared when she hears that. They are no longer together. But
I'm sure she would have seen Mr. Rocker's personality come out at other time.
There was one part of the show, because you come in with a significant other and then you're split up. You're on opposite teams. And when you do these contests, you do them, some of them one-on-one against your significant other. And so it was her against him, and she beat him, and he was angry. I've told the story before of when I was working for Atlanta, sitting behind home plate. He blew a save one time, and he gave up a single, and to his credit, he came and backed up home plate. So he's standing literally a foot away from me. There's just a piece of plexiglass and some netting between us. I could feel his anger. It is literally the only time in my life where I have felt something like that from another person. I could just feel him seething. But anyway, so he goes on this show planning to hide his identity. So he tells people, he originally tells people his name is John Wetland. So I'm guessing most of the listeners of this podcast know that at the same time John Rocker was pitching, there was another reliever named John Wetland. He was a Yankees closer preceding Mariano Rivera. Rivera set up for him, I believe, for a season or two. And then Wetland went to Texas, and I don't know. I didn't keep track of Mariano Rivera. I don't know if he ever did anything. But so at the time, I should remind you that John Wetland, at the time that these survivors were filmed, was under investigation and later indicted for some very serious crimes against children, like disgusting crimes against children. He has since, the more I read about it, he was not found guilty. I guess that's the way. There was a hung jury, and the prosecution decided that they had little chance of retrying it and getting a different outcome, so they dropped the charges. So nobody's saying he didn't do these things, but was never indicted for it. So if that's the case, what does John Rocker thinks that is a better option than what people know about him?
Than being himself.
Yes. They eventually do. A couple of the guys are like, no, that's John Rocker. I watch baseball. That's John Rocker. And they know what he did. And I'm referencing an SI article. It was written by Jeff Pearlman, who at the time was just a young reporter for Sports Illustrated. He's written many books. I've read several of them. He's got a great YouTube channel that I've found. I don't know how long he's had it, but he talks about these things. And so he's the one that wrote that SI profile that launched Rocker into the kind of the higher echelon of the bigotry stratosphere. He's at the top of the food chain there. And so Pearlman was telling stories about his time with John Rocker as he was preparing this article. He flies in to spend a day or two with Rocker. Rocker picks him up at the airport, and he is going to visit an elementary school to give the young, impressionable kids a talk, which is very suspect.
Yeah,
why you
good.
with this. So he picks him up and drives him, the Pearlman, in his car with him. Along the way, casually just dropping racist remarks about the drivers on the road, and based on the way they are driving, He feels he can predict the nationality and sex of each of them, and as they pass them, they continue just to be white males. But not to be disparaged, John Rocker continues talking to this reporter who has a tape recorder going and has gotten his permission to do. Rocker tells him how he hates visiting these elementary schools and having to deal with the kids on the way to an elementary school to deal with the kids.
Yes. So
they get to the school and they have this big assembly for him. And as they introduce him, they bring out a boom box because this is an elementary school in the 90s. So you probably don't have a speaker system. And they've got a CD, a Twisted Sister CD, and they play I Want to Rock, which is what he would come out to when he took them out. So just people that dance weirdly to the YMCA, refusing to admit what the YMCA is actually about. Rocker has no idea how Dee Snider leans politically, because it's not the same way as Rocker, I can tell you that. He, after his speech to these kids, walks by the boombox and picks up the CD out of the CD player and takes it. Walks out with it, with a reporter right next to him following his every move. Maybe he just never had it and he really liked the song, but he didn't ask. He just took it because he's John Rocker. Now, I made a mistake here. I made a big mistake, and I just want to keep everybody else from doing it. I looked at John Rocker's Instagram.
Ooh.
Yeah, he hunts. This should not come as a shock because, of course, he does. A lot of fine, upstanding people hunt. I'm not shaming hunting. It's nothing I would ever do, but okay. The photos in his Instagram, the photos, Mark, each one of I feel like every animal that he kills, he needs to take several pictures of with it. I have never seen a serial killer's like facial expression right after they have found another victim and done their thing. But I feel like after seeing these taxidermy selfies, I can say that I have. It is scary, and I fear for any woman that is with him. That's all I'm going to say. He also had a website at one point, realjohnrocker.com, because apparently johnrocker.com was taken by somebody else, I guess. It is now mercifully no longer online, but on his Instagram, he had posted screenshots of his merch store. Like people are clamoring for John Rocker branded keychains and beer koozies at any point.
Maybe his white elephant gifts.
We should do some sort of game show where if you lose, you have to get a John Rocker keychain and beer koozie.
Yes.
I frankly I'm surprised that he doesn't seem to be posting much anymore, but I'm surprised he doesn't have some like meme coin that he's hawking, because that's what we need. I'm not going to comment on the rest of what I saw on his Instagram because I'm just not. I'm trying to be positive here as much as I can about John Rocker. And I would beg you not to go and look at his Instagram or his Twitter posts, because he's at home there right now. Not for your sake, but for yours, because I care about our listeners' mental health. So just don't do it. I will put a link to the Jeff Pearlman YouTube video where he describes all this, because John Rocker has claimed that everything in that article is fake, and that Jeff Pearlman, you can kind of guess his nationality from his last name, is just out to make him look bad and slurs and blah, blah, blah. Jeff Pearlman also in that video shows that he has all of the tapes still from the recording while he was spending his day with John Rocker. So I'm not sure that John Rocker wants anybody to hear those tapes.
Probably not.
But yeah, there you go. Okay, we've talked enough about John Rocker. Let's put him on the permanent do not talk about list. And when he comes up, we'll just play a fart noise or something, and you will know from now on that is John Rocker. For now on, if you hear this, we're talking about John Rocker. We're going to have
yes, we have code now.
We're now going to have a fart noise on this podcast. Hopefully, it won't come up very often.
Right.
All right, Mark, that's going to do it for this part. We need to get into the serious part of the show now, because I, at one point in the Wax Packs Heroes standings, was up by 4 games. Like I was cruising to a possible back-to-back situation. I've only won this thing once. I think you've won it thrisely. But now, looking at the scoreboard, it is 19-18. You are one win away from wrapping this thing up. And I've lost 6 in a row or something. It's ridiculous.
It's been crazy.
Yeah, so we are going to, with that being said, we have to play music first because we are contractually obligated by our sponsors to do it. So here it is. It's time for Wax Pack. Wax Pack Hero. Stars in his eyes. Wax Pack Hero. Gonna pull a Wax Pack Hero. Stars in his eyes. All right, I've already given you a score, Mark. We're going to go ahead. We're going to play, hopefully not the last round under our current rules and season. But if you are new here, what we're going to do, we're going to open up a bunch of baseball cards from the Wax Packs era. In this case, I've made the executive decision, Mark, and we are opening 1985 Topps.
Okay.
What we're going to do, we're going to pull these cards. We are going to play war against each other, but instead of usual playing cards, we're going to use baseball cards, and we are going to use the baseball reference war from the year of the card. So in this case, 1985. That's not it, though. Whoever has the highest war is going to win the round, but we've got other things that can happen here. Anything that we consider 80s baseball aesthetics, that means things like real stirrups, eye black, glasses, whether they be science teacher, flip down, Oakley wraparounds, monocles, anything like that. Batting helmets with no ear flaps, all those kind of things. Those are all an extra 1/10 of a point. If you've got a mustache, but it is a Wade Boggs, Keith Hernandez type special, you can get an extra 1/10 of a point on top of that for 2/10 of a point. If they're wearing something that we don't like 2-in-1 stirrups, those kind of things, that's going to be a -1/10 of a point. Any awards that they won that year, in this case 1985, like a Rookie of the Year, Cy Young, MVP, were an All-Star or won a Gold Glove, you get a 1/2 a point each for those. If there's a Hall of Famer anywhere on the card, you get a whole extra point. If Ricky Henderson shows up, doesn't matter who polls him, I automatically win that round. If Nolan Ryan shows up, Mark automatically wins that round. Any pop culture references that we can easily find are 1/2 a point each, unless they appeared on Seinfeld, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, or The Simpsons, in which case you get a full point. But if they appeared in the Mitchell Report, the Pittsburgh drug trials were suspended for things that John Wetland, or for that matter, I'm sure John Rocker have done, that is going to be a -1/2 a point. So, Mark, I have chosen the cards. Do you want to go first or do you want to go second?
You know, I've been doing well when I've gone first, so I'm going to go first. All
right. Here we go. Our 1985 Topps. Your card is Joe Price of the Cincinnati Reds.
Okay.
Joe Price, let's see. Well, he's got real stirrups in this card. I like that. I mean, this is 1985, so this is a marred shot red. He's got that working against him. But they've got the pullover tops and the Sansa pants. But we're not giving anything out for that. But he does, like I said, have real stirrups because he was literally contractually obligated to being on the Reds. They had to show so much stirrup at that point. Let's see. Joe Price, overall, 11 years in the big league, 7 with the Reds, 3 with the Giants, Baltimore, and Boston as well. 1985 with Cincinnati, he was 2-2 with a 3.9 ERA, 64 2/3 innings, 59 hits, 52 strikeouts. That's not too bad. 97 ERA plus, but a WAR of -0.1. The stirrups will wipe that out, though. So you're at zeros currently.
I was hoping for a little more out of a big name like Joe Price.
That Joe Price money, but yeah, no. Let's see here. His Wikipedia page is exactly 4 sentences long. So, I mean, that is a 0 right across the board, which, as we've discovered before, can sometimes work in your advantage. I don't think it's going to, though. My card is from the Houston Astros. I did an Office reference earlier in which I was channeling this gentleman. I have got Mike Scott of the Houston Astros.
One of my favorites.
Mike Scott, let's see here. He's got some good lettuce on this card coming out of the side of the hat, but there's nothing else here that's going to help you out. He needs a haircut, but that's That's essentially it. Let's see. Mike Scott, overall, 13 years in the big leagues, 9 with the Astros, 4 with the Mets, who he came up with. 1985, you just missed out because he was a Cy Young Award winner in 86. So
yes.
Oh, no, this is me.
This is
me.
you.
Yeah. So I missed out. It's not going to matter. But in 1985, he went 18-8 with a 3.29 ERA, 221 2/3 innings, only gave up 194 hits, struck out 136 for a 105 ERA plus, and a WAR of 3.0. As we know, never suspended for cheating, even though he clearly was a scuffer.
I beg to differ.
Listening to interviews with the Mets and seeing video of it and so forth, in 86 playoffs, they were just collecting baseballs in their dugout that would come straight from the catcher and had scuff marks all over it whenever Mike Scott was pitching. And he admitted to using binoculars and sometimes a TV monitor in the bullpen and flashing signs. So you might say he didn't scuff, but he's admitted he cheats.
Mike Scott was on the up and up from day one. He can do no wrong.
Okay. I'm going to take the W on that one anyway. I'm up 1-0. All right. So, Mark, I'm up 1-0. Your next card is infielder for the California Angels. I mentioned him earlier today when I was streaming the grid, Dick Schofield. Let's see here. So I like this picture. It looks like it's in spring training, but he's in full uniform. He's got his glove on. He's got a batting glove on. Should that be an 80s baseball aesthetic? Nobody wears a batting glove under there on defense anymore.
No, not anymore.
I think we should count that. I'm all for it. Okay. So he's waiting to take the field here behind a chain link fence, it looks like. This has got to be spring training. But so you'll get points for the glove. But let's see what else we can find here on Richard Schofield. He is the son of Dick Schofield and the uncle of Jason Worth.
Wow.
So there you go. And 14 years in the big leagues. California Angels for 12, Toronto for 2, the Mets and the Dodgers for parts of seasons. In 1985 with the Angels, hit 219, 287 on base, 331 slugging. He had 8 home runs, 41 RBI, 11 stolen bases, and a 69, nice, OPS plus for a .4 WAR plus the batting glove under the glove. So that'll get you up to a .5. First round draft pick, 3rd overall in the 81 draft.
Wow.
Yeah, who'd have thunk it?
This is interesting. He shares the record for most seasons having at least 400 at-bats with fewer than 100 hits, having done that 4 times.
That's not a record you want to have.
No, it's not.
Oh, he's also brother-in-law to former catcher Dennis Worth, who played for the Royals. Looks like he's coached at Dayton. Didn't like Chris Sabo or somebody else, weren't they coaching at Dayton or something as well? Oh, no, this is the Dayton Dragons, not the university. Scratch that. I don't want to get an email telling me that was wrong because I've caught that. Edited myself real time. But point being, Mark, that is a .5 for you, and you will be going up against Mookie. Because he believes in dinosaurs because they believe in him, something like that. Mookie Wilson, it's a good... Oh, I don't know. I think maybe we should count this. He's got batting gloves hanging out the back of his pants.
Yeah, I don't think you see that much anymore.
No, you don't at all. You see those sliding gloves, but you don't see... Because the batting gloves are great because they fold down. So then when Jeffrey Leonard's running around the bases after a home run, it's waving goodbye to the fielders behind him, is what he used to say. I think I'm all for counting that, if you agree.
No, I agree.
All right. The infamous stepfather and uncle of Preston Wilson.
Yes.
Let's see. Overall, 10 years in the big leagues, 10 of it with the Mets, 3 with Toronto at the end. I mean, I didn't get any of those World Series with Toronto, though. But in 1985 with the Mets, 276 average, 331 on base, 424 slugging, 6 home runs, 26 RBI, 24 stolen bases, and a OPS plus of 111 for a WAR of 2.6. I like it.
Fallen again.
Yeah, he has got a mustache because he always had a mustache. So I like that part, especially. I really feel like he's been referenced in The Simpsons, but I don't know if it... I mean, we've talked about his CD. We've talked about the fact that he caters Mets fantasy camp with his catering company. But yeah, I don't see anything specific. It doesn't matter because I will still chalk up the W there. 2-0.
Interestingly, Mookie earned a bachelor's degree in 1996 from Mercy College in New York. So good for him.
There you go, Mook. All right. You have got your next card is Craig Def Lefferts, San Diego Padres.
Craig Lefferts.
This is a great card. This is outstanding. Just because of the uniform, I almost called it an outfit because it just doesn't look like a baseball uniform to me. It's an orange batting practice top and the Padres brown hats with the old SD and like the triangle of orange on there. It looks like they should be working at like Del Taco instead of playing Major League Baseball. This is like the Gary Coleman is managing you type of Padres uniforms. That's the one I'm talking about. He does, I'm going to tell you though, he's got a 0.2 of a point mustache right off the bat. So congratulations to you. Overall, 12 years in the big leagues, Padres for 7, Giants for 3, and then a bunch of other teams. For 1 apiece.
He was never a Mariner.
Or an Athletic. What's up with that? 1985, went 7-6. 3.35 ERA, 83 1/3 innings, 75 hits, 48 strikeouts. He walked 30 for a 106 ERA plus and a 0.6 WAR plus the 0.2 of a point. So that'll get you up to 0.8 right off the bat. Oh, he was traded with my guy Carmelo Martinez to the Padres.
This is interesting. He received a commission to attend the United States Air Force Academy, where he planned to become a pilot like his father.
But he chose baseball.
Failed the pilot physical, though, because lack of depth perception, which gives me confidence as a batter standing in there against him.
That's interesting. So he was traded with Carmelo Martinez. He was traded for Al Newman. And he was also traded with former guest Dave Dravecki and one of my favorites, Kevin Mitchell, for Keith Comstock, who is related to the old Comstock of the Comstock Law.
There you go.
A lot of interesting names going on there with Craig Def Lefferts. I don't see anything, though, that's going to get you anything else, though. So that'll be a 0.8 for you. And you will be going up against, for me, I'm enjoying this pack so far, Mark. I'm not going to lie. You'll be going up against Eddie Murray. You heard of him?
Goodness gracious. Yeah, I think... Switch hitter, right?
Yeah, I think he does okay. And I don't want to mention that 1985 is like the height of his powers. And I don't want to mention that he has got such a mustache here that it connects to his sideburns. Like, I'm kind of thinking this is a 0.3 of a point mustache. This is like Gary Ward quality mustache. Go ahead and look it up. 85 tops Eddie Murray. You tell me if that is a 0.3 of a point mustache while I go through his numbers here for you. Of course, a Hall of Famer, so I get bonus there. 1985, he was an all-star as well, came in 5th in the MVP balloting. Hit 297, 383 on base, and a 523 slugging percentage, 31 home runs, 124 ribs, 5 stolen bases somehow, and a 149 OPS plus for a 5.6 WAR and all the other good stuff. It's whether you give me 0.3 of a point for that mustache or not, which I still think you should do, it is irrelevant.
Since it's irrelevant, then absolutely you should give it to him.
Do you see it?
I do. It's a beaut. It just goes right into his sideburns.
It is. Can we call that a 0.3 of a point mustache?
Well, we've never had one before.
No, I think he and Gary Ward I might be the only. If we ever opened cards from like 19, when Mike Fiers was with the A's, and one day he cut off half of his beard so that it swirled around and looked like a cat tail was coming off the side of his head, and Topps made a card. That's the only other 0.3 of a point facial hair besides those.
Got you.
But the big news here is I am up 3-0 and loving it. It's like a McDonald's up in this joint.
I don't know where my defense is.
On the mound, you've got Steve Trout. How about that?
Oh, boy. Can I have Mike Trout?
1985 Mike Trout, you got it. So this is a father-son card. He is. Did we know he was the son of Dizzy Trout? I feel like we had to have mentioned that.
It sounds familiar to me.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that we just forget every single time. The picture of his father's baseball card is great because it is so airbrushed. The B on his Red Sox hat, the upper part of it is actually off his hat. Like it's floating in space. It's above his thing. But Steve, he's got a good head of hair, and it looks like he's ready to hit the disco after this one. But nothing there, I think, that's going to get you any points, unfortunately.
I do remember him as a Mariner, and I remember not being all that confident when he was brought into a game.
Yeah, his career WAR during his time at the Mariners was a minus 2.8 in 2 years. So 12 years in the big leagues, 5 with the Cubs, 5 with the White Sox. He liked Chicago. And then 2 with the Mariners and 1 with the Yankees. 1985 with the Cubs, he went 9-7 with a 3.39 ERA, 104 2/3 innings, 142 hits allowed, 44 strikeouts, pitches to contact apparently, a 1.17 ERA plus, and a 3.0 even WAR. That's like bigger than your entire total in the first 3 rounds of WAR.
No kidding.
Let's see, first round draft pick, 8th overall by the White Sox in 1976. Was traded for Pat Tabler and George Bush's dog, Scott Fletcher, at one point.
Nice.
Also traded for Bob Tewksbury and Lee Guterman at one point, 2 names that I enjoy saying. Authored a book about he and his dad's baseball life at one point.
Nice.
He was hired to be a head baseball coach in Hawaii in 2010 after he answered an ad in the local paper. What's worse, that a high school's just like, we need a baseball coach. Call up the paper and put an ad in there, or that he's looking for that and applied and got it.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Let's see, wrote a children's illustration book called Loosey Goosey Baseball that is available to purchase on his website. Great. Now I've got to Now I got to go look at his website. Let's see if it's any better than realjohnrocker.com. Nah, it looks like it's not.
I find this interesting. Trout sued a Northside baseball camp, claiming the camp unlawfully used his name in the source code of their website for monetary gains. Now, if you were going to fake somebody, their approval of your baseball camp, you're going to pick Steve Trout?
My thought was that, or some websites put a bunch of keywords on their pages, but they make it the same color as the background so you can't see it. Did they think, people are going to be searching for Steve Trout, we should put his name in there too?
I'm sure, but it doesn't say what the result was.
Maybe
it's still tied up in court.
I'm sure he was awarded plenty, because I'm sure that really helped that company. All right, so that's a 3 even for you, which is, again, very good. You, however, are going to be going up against his teammate, Rick Sutcliffe.
Ooh.
He's got a beard. Oh, he's got a beard and he's got real stirrups. So that's good. I don't think I'm going to need it. Even with your 3.0, I don't think I'm going to need it for Rick Sutcliffe, who played for 18 years in the big leagues, 8 with the Cubs, 5 with the Dodgers, 3 with Cleveland, 2 with Baltimore, and St. Louis. In 1985, I'm going to take those points. In 1985, he was hurt, it appears. He only appeared in 20 games. He went 8-8 with a 3.18 ERA, 130 innings pitched, 119 hits allowed, 102 strikeouts for a 1.25 ERA plus and a 2.7 WAR.
Oh, so close.
So that will put me at 2.9. Now, I know he has hosted Sunday Night Baseball. He's been on ESPN. I don't know that we're going to count that. Overall, he was the first round draft pick by the Dodgers in 74, 21st overall pick. Was traded with Ron Hassey for Joe Carter and one of our Do Not Talk Abouts, Mel Hall. Let's see, Rick. I need something, and I just don't see it here. I mean, beyond doing work for ESPN, which he's awful at. Yeah, motivational speaker. I'm afraid I'm going to lose this by 1/10 of a point.
Looks like it.
Darn it. He's got Sands About Pants. Can we just count that this one time?
You can count it as a 10th.
Okay, then we're tied. I think Steve Trout had Sands About Pants on too. All right, it's 3-1. Your next card is with the New York Yankees. It's Don Baylor. And why every card of Don Baylor is not him getting hit by a pitch, I don't know.
Right? Good point.
You're going to get some aesthetics points here because he's on deck and he's got a batting helmet with no ear flaps. Plus, he's got a mustache. So there's 2/10 of a point for you right out the bat before we even get off the card. Let's see. Groove or the Sneak Thief. Overall, 19 years in the big league, 6 for the California Angels, 6 for Baltimore, Yankees for 3, Boston for 2, A's for 2, and Minnesota for 1. In 1985 with the Yankees, hit .231, .330 on base, .430 slugging. He had 23 home runs, 91 RBI, 0 stolen bases, 4 caught stealing. Busted hit and run. I'm wondering.
Must be.
109 OPS plus, led the league for the second 4 consecutive years in hit by pitches. No shocker there. And ended up with a .7 WAR. So that'll take you to .9. I feel like Don Baylor is going to have some pop culture stuff.
You think so?
I don't know. Traded by the Orioles with Mike Torres to the A's for Ken Holtzman and Reggie Jackson.
Interesting.
Later went on to try and assassinate the Queen of England, in case you were not aware. Reggie Jackson is not Don Baylor.
Yeah.
No, nothing. Nothing says here. I do remember this, that he suffered a fractured right femur while catching the ceremonial first pitch of the 2014. I remember I was at the Mariners on that day. I don't remember if you worked it or if it was producer Mitch, but I remember talking about that.
Yeah, didn't he do something like go to 3 consecutive World Series with 3 different teams or something?
Yeah. So
was that him?
He went with the Dodgers and then he went with the A's, and he must have been, he wasn't on the Mets, was he? Yeah, he was on, he was the Mets. Because he wasn't on the Reds we'll look it up here in a minute. Let's see. 86. Oh, he was on Boston in 86, and then Minnesota in 87, and then Oakland in 88. So, yeah. .9 for you. And you will be going up against, for me, with the California Angels, Fred Lynn.
Fred Lynn had a pretty good career.
Yeah. Now, was he still doing it in 1985 with the Angels? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to get 2/10 of a point here on aesthetics. 1, he is preparing to bat with no batting gloves on. 2, he's got long sleeves on under his pullover jersey, but between his jersey and his long sleeves, he's got one of those weird plastic jackets on that you use to make weight when you're wrestling. Why? I don't know, but he does. All right. Let's see. Fredlin. If you say it like that, it sounds like one name, Fredlin. 17 years in the big league, 7 with Boston, 4 with California and Baltimore, 2 with Detroit, and 1 with San Diego. 1985 with Baltimore, 2.63 batting average, 339 on base, 449 slugging, 23 home runs, 68 RBI, and a 117 OPS plus for a WAR of 1.8, plus that 2/10 is an even 2. So that's good news for me.
Was a spokesman for Gillette and MasterCard. So there you go.
Oh, there's some pop culture right there. He did those commercials. Traded for Joe Rudy and Frank Tanana at one point. Now, why? It says he married his first wife he met in high school. It was a cheerleader. Her name was Diane Mae Minkle, and she went by the name Dee Dee. Why is that in here? I mean, I guess they're giving you a full picture of his life, but... Okay. All right. But good news for me. I take that round. It is 4-1, and I am teetering on sending this to a 1-game winner takes all next week. Playoff. Bad news for me. Good news for you. You've got a Hall of Famer. You have got Jim Rice.
Nice.
Aroni. Let's see here. This card, he's got a mustache, and I fear it's bordering on 2/10. Like, you can see that it is thick enough that it is like an inch 90 degrees from his face. There's that much hair that you can see. You can't see part of his face because it's covering it from this angle. So I'm going to give you 2/10 of a point on that. Plus, he's a Hall of Famer. So that'll be 1.2 before you even look at any of his numbers. 16 years in the big leagues for Jim Ed. All of it with Boston, of course. Went into the Hall of Fame with somebody else. I don't remember his name exactly, but I believe it rhymes with Hickey Renderson in 2009.
Yeah, some stolen base guy.
Something like that. 1985, good news more for you. He was an all-star that year. Hit .291, .349 on base, .487 slugging, 27 home runs, 103 ribs, 2 stolen bases, no caught stealing. For a 123 OPS plus, you have the hit by pitch leader for this year, and for the fourth year in a row, Jim Rice led the league in double plays grounded into with 35. Overall, a 1.9 WAR. So you add that to your 1.2, and you're up to a 3.1 right off the bat.
Will it be enough?
First round draft pick, 15th overall in 1971. I really don't see anything here in Wikipedia. I feel like, again, he's one of those guys that would have done something. I mean, this isn't going to get you anything, but during his Hall of Fame acceptance speech, Rice revealed that he's a devoted fan of the young and the restless. So again, we're giving you a full picture of the man that is Jim Rice. I remember he saved a fan at some point that was injured in the stands and carried him off on the field for the trainers to give, I think it was a child, to help them. But I don't see anything here that is additionally going to help you. There's a Jim Rice that was part of an additional crew for the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour for one episode, but that's it. And that is definitely not the Jim Rice. All right, so you're at 3.1.
Rice rushed into the stands to help a young boy struck in the head by a line drive. Rice left the dugout and entered the stands to help 4-year-old Jonathan Keene, who was bleeding heavily. Rice carried the boy onto the field through the Red Sox dugout and into the clubhouse, where he was treated by the team's medical staff.
There you go. Good guy, Jim Rice. All right, Jim Rice is going to be going up against pitcher for the White Sox, Richard Dotson.
Oh, I love Family Feud.
I think he was a better host on Running Man than Family Feud. He didn't try to stick his tongue down anyone on Running Man's. None of their contestants' notes. This is a spring training shot taken in the backfield here. Nothing here. I mean, cool White Sox uniform, but nothing that's going to garner any points. Son of Turk Farrell. I saw that and I thought Turk Wendell. I got excited. Farrell, though, 14 years in the big leagues. Not too shabby. Overall, 12 years for Richard. 10 with the White Sox and then the Yankees and the Royals for little bits and pieces. 1985, he went 3-4 with a 4.47 ERA, 52 and a third innings, 53 hits, 33 strikeouts, 97 ERA plus, and a .4 WAR. Got a lot of work to do with the pop culture. I don't think he's going to do it. Overall, a first-round draft pick, 7th overall by the Angels in 1977. He was traded with Bobby Bonds and Thad Bosley for Brian Downing and some other guys, and then was also traded for Dan Pasqua at one point. Nothing. Oh, he didn't know he was Turk Farrell's son until 2018.
Oh, wow.
Okay. All right. Congratulations to you. There's another win. So it's 4-2. If I give up a 4-1 lead here to lose this thing, I'm gonna throw a fit. I'm just telling everybody. The Ken Holtzman studio here in the Bay Area is going to get trashed if I lose this. All right. You have got with the San Diego Padres, you have got catcher Terry Kennedy.
Terry Kennedy. Was he a starter backup? Started for a while?
Yeah, he was kind of back and forth. Looking at his card here, he's got real stirrups on. He's got gold sanitaries on, which is good. even though he's not on the A's. Yeah, I think that's going to be... You know what? I'm going to give you credit. It looks... And he's a catcher, so I'm going to say he's got no ear flaps on the batting helmet. So I'll give you 0.2 of a point for that.
Okay.
Overall, 14 years in the big leagues. Pods for 6, Giants for 3, St. Louis for 3, Baltimore for 2. 1985, he was an all-star. Hit .261, 301 on base, 373 slugging, 10 home runs, 74 RBI, an 89 OPS plus, and a 2.6 WAR.
Nice.
That's not bad. First round draft pick, 6th overall by the Cardinals in 1977. Was traded. Oh, that's how Raleigh Fingers got on the Padres, and Gene Tennis traded for. Oh, and he was the Padres sent Bob Guerin to complete the trade. I just mentioned him. It's all, and then he was traded for Bob Melvin at one point as well. Just people exchanging catchers like that's gonna solve their catching problem.
I guess you just never know.
He's not the best color man in the business for nothing, folks.
I got nothing else to say.
Nothing else is going to help you there, but that's a 2.8 for Terry Kennedy. That's not, I mean, I tell you get a Terry Kennedy, you're probably not thinking a 2.8.
I wasn't.
And all right, I'm going to call this one before we even, my pop culture points are going to do it enough, and the Hall of Fame as well. But I have got Tony Gwynn. We've had a lot of Padres in this pack. A lot of Padres. Oh, God, this card is just beautiful. I might win just on the card. First of all, he's a Hall of Famer, yes. He has got flip down sunglasses, but these are huge flip. These are, okay, so flip down sunglasses, generally, they're either attached to the bill of your hat or there's a strap that tightens around your hat, right? You know what I'm talking about, the way they look. These are just regular sunglasses that he's wearing behind his ear and resting on his nose, but they've got the flip up and down mechanism on it. It's beautiful. They're huge. He's also got a mustache. It's not a 0.2 of a point, but I'm at 1.2 just from the card. So I'm almost halfway there just from the card. Let's see. Of course, Mr. Padre, 20 years, every one of them with the Padres. He was an all-star this year. He got MVP votes, 317 batting average, 364 on base, 408 slugging percentage, 6 home runs, 46 RBI, 14 stolen bases, and a 117 OPS plus for a WAR of 5.2.
Yeah, that's better than Terry Kennedy.
Let's see. Pop culture. We don't need it, but I'm going to look anyway. I know wasn't he on Baseball Bunch at one point?
I thought he was, yeah.
That's the first thing that came to my mind. Obviously a great athlete, played basketball at San Diego State. His Wikipedia here is just, my finger is getting tired from scrolling down. It is so long, and deservedly so, to be honest.
Kids, take note of this. Gwynn passed away from salivary gland cancer in 2010. He got it from chewing tobacco.
Yeah. Don't do it, kids.
Bad news.
Gwynn disliked arrogant people, but yet he loved Ricky Henderson. He said Ricky was his favorite. No, he said he was the best teammate that he had ever. He was uncomfortable receiving praise and flattery. He was unimpressed by other people's social standing, wealth, or fame. He received several offers to appear on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno and declined them all. He was invited to the White House for a dinner with the president and declined, only to then say yes after his wife said, "We're going." Outspoken against PED, stated that half of the players in the league used greenies. I'm assuming that's at the beginning of his career.
Yeah.
Although he supported Mark McGwire's inclusion in the Hall of Fame. Captain Video, one of his nicknames, one of the first guys to really use video to scout opponents, went on to coach also at San Diego State, the baseball team. Gwynn had a fear of flying.
That's weird.
Yeah, I mean,
flew a lot.
Yeah. Gwynn became the 3,000th season ticket holder of the Indiana Fever. WNBA teams. Weird.
Yeah.
I mean, he had to have been on stuff. We're just not seeing it. But again, it doesn't matter. I have tied this up, and Mark, we are going to a one game takes all. Maybe that should just be a whole episode. We're just gonna.
Yeah, it might have to be.
Just be us fighting each other for Wax Pack supremacy. But all right,
best of 29.
All right, that's gonna do it for this version of Wax Pack's Heroes 1919. It's getting exciting. The winner is gonna hoist the trophy next episode, so make sure to tune in as well. It's also going to wrap up this episode. If you want more of us, again, on Saturday, go ahead. I'll put it in the show notes and look on Blue Sky. We'll be on YouTube live at 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern time for Grid for the Cure. And you can find all that stuff in the show notes, as well as my streaming schedule. I'm on Twitch, our YouTube channel, all that kind of stuff. Also, you can write us an email claiming we did something wrong when actually we didn't. But sign your name just so we at least know who it is. We will probably won't call you out by name, but that all goes through you, Mark.
Yeah, you can write to us at, believe it or not, twostrikenoise@gmail.com. Spell out the two. twostrikenoise@gmail.com.
TWO strike noise. Bam. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Sorry this episode's a little bit late this week, but you're getting it. It's free content. What more do you want? Anyway, have a good week. We'll see you on the next episode of Two Strike Noise.
Thank you. God bless you. Have a great day.